what is black culture? That's the question. I've seen non-black people say things such as, "You don't want me to get black on you."
Black culture is, it's hard to even say what it is, right? Because it's like it could be, it's everything. It's good and it's bad, and I think that's in every culture. But unfortunately, the only part that most people think about is clothes, shoes, music, and negative actions that we do in the public. And while we do have to take some accountability for that because we have added to the furtherance of those stereotypes, we also didn't choose to be that way, right? You look at back in the day, we had people wearing suits and dating and, trying to be collegiate educated and trying to act with a certain type of class. We've always had people like that, but they tried to get those people out of here, and then they paid certain people to act a fool, right? For us to have that to look at. And then they said, this is the monolith. The person over here acting like this and ain't got no sense. This is what being black is. And so when you control the media and you control television and all that, you control what the narrative is. So instead of putting up people like King or Malcolm or whoever, whoever, they gonna put a sexy red or a rapper, whoever it is that's going to further the negative viewpoint of what we are, and then they're going to sell that as culture. You know what I mean? And the person who is a part of their rat race is just trying to make a buck and eat and feed their family at the end of the day, right? So it's like they're complicit in it, but to a certain degree, it's like they have to eat and make money, and so that's why they keep doing it as well. And I also think this too. Yeah, sometimes we can get rowdy. Sometimes we can get loud. We like to do certain shit. What is actually?
Let me pause you. Let me pause you.
Yeah.
Here's a problem that I have with what you said, not with you saying it, but with it being a general thing. For example, you said we can get loud. Here's the thing, though. We all get loud.
Yeah.
Here's a problem that I have as a non-black person because I see the bias, right? We all are loud, but it's almost like black people are condemned for it, and everybody else, it's okay. You understand what I'm saying? Come on.
And that's how I feel. Like I feel exactly that way. We like to wear certain fashion trends and do things and act a certain way. And why is that wrong? It shouldn't be wrong because it is a part of our culture. At the end of the day, some of the shit we do that people look at as negative, but it's not negative. This is how we grew up. A lot of us grew up in the hood, and the shit we like to wear, the way we talk, sometimes the way we react to things, it is what it is. It doesn't mean you're less educated. It doesn't mean you're less of a human being. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean, you're less worthy of any type of treatment or opportunity. It's just what it is. And like you said, it's in every single culture when you break it down. But for some reason, we're the only ones that get condemned and ridiculed for it, as if we can't act that way. You know what I mean? And it is crazy. That's why I'm like, what really is the problem with that? And I think when you're younger, you try to fit into the not so much of that because you look at it as negative. But as you get older, you like, it's a part of us, and there's nothing wrong with that. To me, at the end of the day, if you want to scream and yell, do your thing. If you don't, that's cool. If you want to wear certain styles and certain hair and certain colors, whatever you want to do it. Express yourself because expression is a big part of our culture. So that's just how I look at it.
I think this is where the problem is. See, you said it like this. You said being loud is part of our culture. Let me grab this statement and do something with it. I think the fact that we put it this way, or you put it this way, being loud is part of our culture, I'm going to disagree. Okay? This is why and how. Because being loud is a human thing. But being loud as black people is something that the macro media has pushed as being black culture. And that's the reason, in my opinion, why black people are condemned, because it has been taught that this is a black thing. See, every other people are loud for our reasons, but it's never said that it's part of our culture. It's not a quote unquote Hispanic culture. It's not a Mexican culture. It's not a Russian culture. We all are loud for the same reasons that black people can be loud for the same reasons, right? Emotional reasons, struggle reasons. We all are loud. But in my opinion, the reason why black people are demonized for it or condemned is because of this fact, is that for some reason, the macro media makes it seem like this is a black thing. And I think that when we say things like, me personally, as a non-black person, with all due respect, me personally, when we say this is part of the black culture, I think we as a society are making a mistake, respectfully,
Okay.
because to pin like something that's seen as a negative attribute to a collective of people, an attribute that we all share, but when you pin it as if this is a black thing, this is why, in my opinion, black people are so condemned. An example. Me being from NorCal, I grew up in different communities, right? But every community and or neighborhood rather that was broken down was called the black neighborhood, even if black people was not the predominant. So what? Check this out. So for the same reasons why we appoint loudness with black culture, we also appoint ghetto and broken as black culture, right? All people, Asians, all people, man, we all have our ghettos. But no other people are by default defined by their ghetto subculture. Only black people. When it comes to black people, the ghetto subculture is what defines blackness and or black culture. But everybody else, man, everybody else, us too, our subculture, a subculture that we all share because we all can be poor. We all have our poor communities. None of us else, man, are defined by our subculture as a collective, right? Every people, Asians, they're known for what? If we really think about it, right? Let's talk about Indians. They're known for a people that are together. They build their liquor store, etc. Right? They're all known for being like a people that progress, that come to this country and progress. But the reality is they have their own subcultures of poverty too. They suffer from colorism, internalized racism. But these things are almost brushed under the rug because these people are not defined by their brokenness that we all suffer from. But black culture, as a non-black person from the outside looking in, brokenness and everything negative is defined as blackness and or black culture. Come on.
So I'm gonna give a good example as to what I was really trying to get at was take the N word for example. Something negative, we turn it into never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Right? So while I say being loud is a part of our culture, I'm really saying like what I was saying about the N word, embrace it. It's a part of us. Embrace it. It can't be something negative if we don't view it that way. I grew up sometimes going to church. We can get loud as hell. Like you said, everybody else is loud, but let's embrace it instead of trying to make it something negative. I could talk loud. I could be in the barbershop being loud. I could be anywhere and be loud, from the colors I'm wearing to my personality to my expression. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. So instead of viewing us being loud, in my opinion, as a negative, I'm looking at it as a positive. Yeah, we might be loud, but so what? What does that do, or what does that mean for us? Why does that make us less? It shouldn't. The same thing with the N word. They tried to use that as something to say, oh, well, this is what you guys are. We turned it into never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. Now people use it as something to say, you're my brother, you're my friend, you're my homeboy. So the same thing with the do-rag or the hairstyles or the earrings, right? All of these things are seen as tacky and negative, but we took these things that they tried to tell us was a negative and we turned it into, no, this is us. This is something that we embrace. This is something that we're going to show the world. And that's what it is. And so I feel like that's why I'm saying it's okay to be loud. That's why I'm saying it's okay to use the N word. That's why I'm saying that this is what we are, because it is. Even though everybody else is as well, it is. And y'all can look at it negative if you want to or not, and I completely understand other races might. I'm looking at it as like, I'm reclaiming all the shit that people try to say is negative as this is just what we do. But that don't mean we can't progress. Doesn't mean we can't be smart. Doesn't mean we can't be human. Doesn't mean we can't be a great culture just because we do those things. Because just like you said, everybody else does it. But the difference is I'm just claiming it. Other cultures might look at it and be like, well, yeah, let's not be like that. No, let's be like that. Let's turn it up. Let's wear what we want to wear. Let's do what we want to do. Let's talk with the slang we talk with. Why should we have to stop that because somebody else looks at it as a negative when in our own culture and spaces, this is how we communicate. This is how we parlay. So for me, that's what it's more about. It's not necessarily about looking at it as a negative. It's more like, this is what we do. And that's completely fine. And it doesn't make you any less because that's what you do and that's what you are. That's just what it is for me. So that's how I look at it.
Okay, so with that said, so let's talk about the embracing part that you mentioned, right? The embracing of, for lack of better words, brokenness. Yes.
Yes, for lack of better
The
word.
embracing of ghetto ness, if you will. Yeah, yeah. As a Mexican that was born in Mexico, one of the things that we as a collective we frown upon and we try our best to convince our people to, hey man, no, 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 is stop glorifying ghetto culture, stop glorifying cartel, all the things that as a collective to other people are gonna make us look bad. And also beyond looking bad is allowing other people to demonize us. Because when you really think about it, you see, when we start embracing ghetto subcultures so much that we start singing about it and we start almost overshadowing everything else about us, this becomes our image. Now, some people don't care, and that's cool, but what is the thin line between, okay, we have embraced our brokenness so much, our ghetto-ness so much, that it's now become our image. And it's this image that YT media has used to further demonize us and justify why we are mistreated. Because ultimately, look at these people. Look at them. They're this and they're that. And the reality is that we're not. We are not. Nobody is, right? As a collective, but we are, because that's the image that we have uplifted above everything else about us, to where everything else about us might as well not exist outside of just us. Because the only thing people see when it, well, let's talk about Mexicans. The only thing people see in this day and age when it comes to Mexicans is this or that. This being people working in the fields and or cartels. What else do we have as an image, right? And why is this? Because our youth has done their very best to embrace and glorify this, to where the subcultures of us has been our main image. Meanwhile, everything that we have worked so hard to create as a people has been overshadowed by ghetto culture, our ghetto-ness. Even if the fact, man, here's the fact that ghetto culture for us is just subculture, but they're so loud with it that they overshadow the rest of us. You get what I'm saying? Come on.
I do. And I think that, again, like Tupac said it best, like, we might live in the hood, but not everybody in the hood is a killer or
Yeah.
unalive. So I lived in very bad areas where I could go next door and get an egg. I could go next door and get sugar. They watched me when I was, when my grandma or my dad wasn't there. Or these are good people. And so that's why I'm more so saying to embrace it, because the negatives of it, like, I think the part that gets promoted is the violence, is the degenerates. But if you go to these neighborhoods, you're going to meet educated people. You're going to meet people that are great people that will give you the shirt off their back. And this is what it is. But of course, the small percentage of what's going on in that hood or in that ghetto, I wouldn't even say that's what all black people are trying to put up. I think it's what the media wants people to think. So
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
the reclaiming of the styles of hair and what we wear and how we talk, that's okay to me personally, because that doesn't mean you're a gangster. It doesn't mean you're violent. It doesn't mean you're a degenerate. It just means that this is what we grew up around. And we want to be this way. We want to be different. I don't want to talk like you. I don't want to assimilate to the shit that's going on over here just to fit in. I want to stand over here on my own, the way that we are, the way that we talk and walk, and for it to be okay. Y'all either gonna accept it or y'all are not gonna accept it. That's how I look at it. And there's a lot of black people that are doing great things, right? That don't act like that. And that's fine as well. I think we're at the point now where we know that there's all different types of people. The people that still want to believe that everybody in the hood is a violent criminal, or you know what I mean, or ghetto even means that is a negative connotation. They're ignorant, and they're willfully ignorant, because if you go and you walk down some of those blocks, then people are going to be better to you than the people in Silicon Valley, and more real, and more straight up, and more helpful. And that's the experiences that I've had. So I'm never going to shy away from that part of the culture, or even look at it as a negative, or say to stop embracing it, because it's what's made us us, and it's what makes us different. And we need to make sure that we keep that for as long as we can, because as we get older and we advance in culture, progression and positive is seen as everything but that. They want us to assimilate. They want us to put on a suit and tie. They want us to talk like this and do all this shit to fit in. This is what we want to do. This is how we ride scrapers over here. We wear our do-rag. We put the chains on. We do. You feel me? This is how we are as a people. And it don't mean are any less than anything at all, because that's how we rock. And it just is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? And I think other cultures, again, to a certain degree, to get the benefit of being able to keep their culture a little bit more, or maybe those parts of the culture not being looked at as negative. But I look at it as like, we got to reclaim that shit, because this is who we are at the end of the day. And not all of us, but that's where a lot of us come from. There's no reason to shy away from it. And everybody else could think it's negative, but at some point people have to meet these people and take it for face value and stop believing everything that the media says or pushes. And that might never come. But it doesn't mean that we have to stop doing what we're doing, or we have to start looking at this as like, oh, this is, we shouldn't be acting that way, or we shouldn't be talking that way. And we're good people just like everybody else because we do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how I look at it. And I feel like I'm not going to stop looking at it that way just because other people are looking at us as negative.
When it comes to non-black people, an example, a person that is non-black that says something along the, and listen, I've heard this my whole life. That's why I need to mention it. And I want your take on this. Don't make me get black on you. What does it mean to get black on you?
I think they mean what I'm saying to a certain degree, right? Like, that's what they are viewing as black. And while no, go ahead.
Is that okay?
I don't think it's okay, but I think it's a reality. I think that certain ways that we are viewed is due to us to a certain degree. And so if somebody says, I don't want to get black on you, you might not like that, right? I might not like hearing that. I'm gonna bring out the hood, right? But we say it ourselves. I'm gonna bring out the hood. I'm gonna start acting whoopty, whatever the case is. So I think that you have to a certain degree, eat that. In my opinion, like you might not want to hear that, but I know that there's a whole bunch of people in my culture that might have showed that, and it's a part of it, the good and the bad. I'm just saying to accept it all and not shy away from it. Yeah, we got people that might turn up and get loud on you, or call whatever the case is. So what? Take me for face value, not what something you've seen or just seen on TV or whatever, or you've never lived it. Take me for face value. That shit doesn't have any credence to me. I'm gonna get black on you. Okay, yeah, that is how we act to a certain degree. Completely fine to me personally, because I know there's people that act like that, but then I also know there's black people that might conduct themselves in a different manner. But that is a part of it, in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, an example. There's this white tea woman that I met, and I knew for a while, and she had a child with the Mexican guy. And the kid was not white tea presenting. He was phenotypically brown, if you will, right? And she was telling me, I'm being careful in the way that I raise him because I know he's not white tea, although he comes from a white tea mother. And I'm being careful and also considerate the fact that just because I'm white tea and that's my son, the way our society views me is not the way they're going to view and treat him. They're going to view and treat him differently, and I'm aware of it. I have not been aware of my white tea privilege as much as now that I have to have a non-white tea son, right? So we're talking about these things, and I was like, okay. I was like, I'm glad that you understand these things. Then she mentioned something, and she said something along the lines of, like, for example, me and my son, she said, me and my son were in line somewhere, and this lady was trying to cut me, and I said to my son, okay, this is where I'm going to bring the Mexican out of me. And I was like, what you mean? What's that mean? And she says, yeah, like I'm about to get aggressive on this person. And I thought, so you mean to tell me, this is what I told her. I was like, you mean to tell me that it takes a human to be non-white tea to get aggressive, to get violent? I like, if anything, bring out the white tea in you so you could wipe out a whole people. That's what I told her, right? Like, let's keep it 100. Like, what you mean? You're gonna bring out the Mexican out of you to? No, bring out the white tea in you to wipe out a whole room, right? And it clicked on her. So you mean to tell me that white tea people by default are clean, are saints, and in order for you to misbehave, you got to bring out the black in you, and hence here comes the don't make me get black on you. At what point does it become a like? Wait a minute. So by default, if I'm going to act white tea, is to act right, is to act good. For example, when we think about just by default dressing right, dressing proper, speaking proper, everything that is right, whether it's the way you look, the way you dress, everything is white tea. Everything. Think about it. Act right. Speak right. Everything is white tea. As if white tea by default is the right way and the good way. And everything opposite, meaning misbehave and everything. Well, don't make me get black on you. It's like you see, we kind of playing into that. Now, I get where you're coming from when it comes to the embracing of our uniqueness. That I will always agree with you, back you up 100%. That's what makes us us, right? But it's the negativity that sometimes, in my opinion, we embrace. It's the negativity sometimes that we embrace so much, so loudly, if you will, as non-white tea people, that overshadows everything else, to where white tea people can strategically use this against us, and use it to demonize. An example, like a lot of white tea people, as you said, and I'm glad you did, a lot of white tea people, wealthy white tea people, white tea companies, they specifically strategically hire black youth, brown youth that are the most reckless. And they hire them to be the ones that are the representation of black people, of brown people, that are the representation of hip hop and or black culture, etc. Right? So we are aware that what represents us on screen to the media, and this is intentional. This is not by accident. This is not by accident at all, right? White tea people literally hire the worst of us. Specifically, now let's keep it 100. When it comes to Jewish and the entire image, you will never, let me repeat that. You will never see those people being depicted in any negativity whatsoever, period. Even though they have a lot of that as their subcultures like everybody else. But see, they are well protected. They will never allow their negativity to be brought up to light. This is something that they experience on the low, and they hide it so that the media doesn't grab it and demonize them with them. Not only that, but also grab it and say, this is who them people are. The only thing that the media has ever able to do is, this is who them people are as a good people, earners, etc. Right? If you really think about all peoples and the way they're depicted, almost all peoples are depicted by the good things, except the people that are intentionally meant to be demonized. In this particular case, black and brown people. We are the most demonized. But everybody else, what is this? It's Indians and Koreans, like they have their negativity. But as a collective, they are known as earners, hard workers, as a people united, despite the fact that they have so much negative subcultures. But they are not known for their subcultures. They're known for their positivity. So at what point do we play so much part in this? And in my opinion, it's the embracing, it's the loud embracing of our negativities.
You know, what I'll say is, but at what point do we try to be, for instance, like I'm a person who I might not embrace the negative so much, right? I might speak a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way. It doesn't stop, and unfortunately, it doesn't stop people from viewing us that way. So for me, it's kind of like, at what point do we stop caring about their perception of us? Do you get what I'm saying? At what point do we stop caring about how they're trying to depict us? And at what point do we depict ourselves the way we want to be? And so that's where I'm like, at some point in time, the embracing of these things, if you own it, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can necessarily make it a negative. The problem is we don't have the infrastructure, and we don't have the media companies and the backing to say and create our own narrative about these stories and these things. You know, we have certain people who have made movies and TV shows that have shown people that have lived in certain areas and they've still had a positive outlook on life. But for instance, Boys in the Hood, right? We can talk about that movie. Cuba Gooding Jr., good dude, had his father. That's a real story. While there were so many gems in there about gentrification, going to college, knowing your history, a lot of people still are only going to take Doughboy and how he was out in and out of jail. They're not going to go and look at him. But we already did our job. We showed you the nuance in our culture because this is what it is. So at some point, we have to stop caring about what these people, in my opinion, view us as, because even though it has credence, we can't let it have control over us to the point where we feel like we have to assimilate or we have to act like them. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be unique from them. And that's just how I feel about it. So these people, regardless, are going to take the most negative parts of us, even if
Agree.
we promote the best parts of us. We have multiple movies and instances of that. You look at Malcolm X. He dressed with a suit and tie on. He was physically fit. He was educated. He had great knowledge. And the only thing people could take from him was that he was anti-Semitic and he was violent or he was an extremist, even though he dropped a bunch of jewels. So at some point, we have to stop worrying about what these people who are, they're always going to be opposition. This is the way the game goes. There's teams, unfortunately. And this is our team. Over here, we have our good players and we have our bad players, the same as them. But we can't always look to what they want or to how they view us or to what they say and let that dictate what we do over here. Because we drop gems. We have great people. And we all know that. And people know that. But they choose. They make the choice to still view us that way. To still only go, because you know what it does? It confirms their bias.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were to go and turn to page 3 or 4, they would see that we're not a monolith. We know that. You know that. They know it too. But they're only going to view things that confirm their bias. So that's why I'm like, at some point, I can't care about what these people think, what they say to me, what they think about me, because I know it's not true. They don't walk these shoes. They're not in these cultures every day. They don't deal with the problems they deal with. They don't have the same backstories as us. So they're viewing something from a bird's eye view without actually being in it. And I can never respect that because you never walked a mile in these shoes. So what you're saying to me, what the YT people are saying and what they're trying to, it's all bullshit. To me personally, we have to own what we own and we have to make it what it's going to be without always, I feel like, looking to them to say or looking to them for their opinions or their viewpoints on us, because they don't do it for us. They're not looking at us to be like, well, maybe we should stop acting this way because they think of us this way. Maybe we should listen to more rap so they think we're less white. Nah, they're like, we're going to double down on this and that. And hey, we might have guys over here that, for instance, are Indian and they're great earners and they own businesses. But we might also have the poverty. They don't let what we think of them dictate what they do. So my only thing is because the problem with our culture is that what you're saying is true, but at the same time, this is where it becomes a battle within our culture, to me, in my opinion. Where it's like now we're trying to shadow certain things or trying to get rid of certain things that are within our culture. And it becomes a battle in between us instead of us saying, hey, these people might not talk with the, best of whatever verbiage. They might not dress a certain way. They might not act a certain way, but they still us. I still protect these people and I still rock with them. So, and I know these people because I've walked in their shoes. So I know they're not bad people. So I could care less what somebody else says or how they view us because I know what it really is. And I know that we're not a monolith.
These are things I do agree with you. I will always agree with you. It's one, I don't give a F what white people think about us. That's one. It's one thing that I've respected about black people in general. I feel like black Americans specifically have had this attitude before and still more than everyone else. I feel like we as Mexican people, we lack this. We care too much what white people think. So much, whether it's Asians, all of us, we care so much. We literally come to this country and try to impress white people. We don't try to impress black people. We don't try to impress nobody but white people, right? And this is one thing that I've acknowledged and I've respected about black Americans is that they're not interested in impressing white people. And I this is important to me. This is something that I wish we embrace. However, with that embracing, we also have to acknowledge the fact that white people are in fact in charge of the macro media. They are in control of whatever of the propaganda that is being pushed, and whatever little bit of say so that we have in that machine, so to speak, they have to first approve it. So yes, I am with you 1,000% when you say that I don't give a f about white people and their opinions. Yes, I agree. I wish the rest of us also went at it this way, 100%. However, when it comes to publicly being who we really are, I think that we have to be careful because you and I hope the rest of us acknowledge the fact that white people are watching. And although we shouldn't give a goddamn about them, I'm with you. But they are in control. They are in control. And we have to acknowledge this. And as long as they're in control of the media, they get to decide what about us they get to promote. They get to push as our image. In example, quick little example. And I mentioned this before. I was at a park one day with a girlfriend, both of us Mexicans, and there was two like Palestinian kids playing soccer, little 10-year-olds, kicking the ball, and they accidentally kicked the ball over here where we're sitting on a bench. And the kids, when they saw us, they stopped in their tracks, running this way, and they paused. And I just said, "Hey, come get the ball. It's okay." And one of the kids with his heavy accent said, "Are you Mexican?" And I said, "Yeah." Oh, and he like backed off and looked at his little friends like "Ooh," talking their language. And I was like, "What's wrong?" And he was very hesitant and very intimidated. And you know, I took that into consideration, and I did my best to be really gentle. I said, "It's okay, it's okay. You could tell me. I'm not gonna get angry. Nothing." He says, "In my country," in his accent, of course, "in my country, they say that." So you said you don't like Mexico, huh?
Yes.
Why? You said you don't like Mexico? Why? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth. I don't care. It's funny to me. What?
Some people is trash, some people is not.
Some people is trash in Mexico.
Yes.
So, what's the reasons?
Because getting like this.
Gangs? Because white people are in charge of what our image is. Not just in this country. It'd be great if it was just this country. They're in charge of the propaganda being pushed in other countries around the world. See, I've had a lot of African people that have never came to the US. A lot of African people who've joined my spaces before and expressed their opinion about what they think black Americans are. And it's the same. Why? Because white people, as you've noted, and I agree 1,000% with you, white people do not care. Although they know that we're not a monolith. They know. But white people are so conniving that they only grab everything that's wrong with us and they push it around the world and say this is who these people are. And why they do this is for the reasons they do this is for the same reason that they need to justify what they do to us. Every time that they're racist publicly, and something happens like George Floyd and things of that nature, yes, this is horrible, but I mean, look at these people. We've been showing the world who these people are. And as long as these people are in control of our imagery, in my opinion, we have to be careful. Yeah, we don't give a F about them. F them. I feel that way too. But at what point do we say, let's stop giving them? Because they are in charge of the macro media, not just in this country, in the world. They are in charge of it. And as long as they are, because see, it'd be one thing if we were in charge of our imagery. We had our own media. We had our own, right? Our own machine. Then we could afford to not give a fuck. We could afford it. But can we afford to not give a damn? As long as they are in control of the media, the macro media that's worldwide propaganda. And in my opinion, we could just say, well, I don't give a damn. Okay, fair enough. But if we do care about our people, we have to care to an extent, not about white people, not about their opinion, but acknowledge the fact that these people are in control. And as long as they are, we have to be careful what we feed them about us. That's just what I think, man. That's just what I think.
And so my response to that would be that I feel like we have, at least, in black culture, I can only speak for black culture, we have people that are very aware of that, right? And that is the reason why they try to be a positive light and be a positive statistic, if you will, for lack of better words, into our pot of culture. But that's where I go back to at the end of the day, if these people are set on being the opposition for us till the day we all perish, then what is the next step? If no matter what, because we have black people, we have people who are from other cultures that are doing things to show that we're not a monolith, that we're not all like this, that we are educated. Shit, you go on Twitter every day and there's somebody who's black, who's 15, who went to some Ivy League school at 15, or somebody in Africa who created some crazy invention, right? So we're doing it. We're out here and we're doing it. I would say at some point then we do have to try to get ownership, right? And we do have to try to control our own narrative, because let's keep it 100. As long as they can control it, we can have 1 million of us doing the right thing. They're still going to only go pick out the bad pot
100%.
and put it to to the masses. Mm-hmm. So at some point it's about ownership. It's about taking back our narrative. It's about controlling our narrative. But for us to do that, we have to do some cleaning within our own teams and within our own cultures and get us on the same accord. That to me is where the deeper problem is. We've had people like Martin and Malcolm and other people that have shown the world we're not a monolith, right? But we also have people at the same time within our culture who fought that, who felt like these people were informants, or this is maybe not the route we should go down, or they had ego. No, we want to take it this way. I want to be the leader. No, I want to be the leader. No, I want to. So again, we've already shown people for years that what we can be. You go back in history, you just pick up a book. We've shown people. So what more can we do to get them to stop being opposition? There is nothing we can do, in my opinion, to stop them from trying to view us in a negative light. Because as long as they view us in a negative light and they keep our foot on our necks, they progress. And that's the game of the world and in America. And it's unfortunate. But what we got to do is start trying to do the same thing. And that's what we're not doing enough of. We're playing this cookie cutter bullshit and we want to dance around it. We need to show these people we're not playing. We need to show these people we are united, and we need to be persistent, and we need to continue on. That is what I would say, because at some point it's never going to stop. Their negative viewpoints and the traps they've set up, they're not going to take them away just because we all start acting great. You get what I'm saying? Or because we all say, you know what, we're not going to show this part of us anymore. They're still going to go and find it. And unfortunately, we're not a monolith. And that can be a good and a bad thing, because you can have 1,000 people who want to go this way, but we're still all individuals at the same day. And there's somebody who's going to say, I don't want to do that. So it's hard to make it just cut and dry, black and white, as if we just do this, all of this will stop. When I feel like that's what they're here for. And that's what they've predicated themselves and their success on, is making others look weak. So at some point, we have to figure out a way to either diminish that completely, and that either is by starting our own or destroying their shit ourselves. That's the only options to me that we have, because we have the model citizen black guy. We have the model citizen black girl. We have the model citizen black family and black relationship. We got it all. For every person that I say, oh, black people, I can give a negative stereotype, somebody can come in here and give a positive stereotype. So it comes to ownership at a certain point and controlling our own narrative and story. And until we do that, we're always going to have them there, because that's what they're going to do, bro. Until the world could fry over again, come back to life, and there's going to be somebody that's going to try to control the narrative that way for us. So at some point, we just have to control it ourselves.